you're watching this, it's probably because you want to become a lineman, and you're worried about the alignment apprentice test or the apprentice assessment test, and you're just starting out or whatnot. I'm just going to assume you're, just new into this and you're looking. I'm going to try to start from the beginning here. Let's see, first, if you're in this to become an lineman and you want to become an apprentice, the first thing you're going to have to be is probably 21 years old. You probably could be 18 and get your Class A CDL, but the first thing you're going to want to get is your Class A CDL, or at least a permit, but most likely you're going to have to get your actual CDL. All right, that's the first thing you're going to have. The second thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to research either through your local or whatnot, or either call your local up and find out what association handles the apprenticeship program. In the Northeast, NEAT handles the apprenticeship program. They're split up into different geological areas, like on a map, depending on where you live in the country. Okay, like I said, you're gonna have to figure that out first. It's probably pretty easy. I would probably just Google what association handles the lineman apprenticeship in, and then the name of your state, and it should probably give you a map. Like I said, me personally in Pennsylvania, it's NEAT. If you're down south, I think from Virginia, no, from Maryland down, I think it's Cellcat. All right, and the other ones on the West Coast, I forget. But like I said, you're going to have to do a little bit of research if you're new into this. Now to get into nitty gritty, okay. First, you're probably going to have to read the requirements to get into your apprenticeship. You're going to have to meet those requirements. Then you're going to have to find out how to register for the test. Now, this is probably not as simple as just writing in your name and whatnot and registering for this test. You're probably going to have to wait to a certain day, at a certain time of month, at a certain particular time of day, okay, to get into the, how can you say, the portal or whatnot, to register to take the assessment test. All right, so you're gonna have to follow directions to the T. Now, when you do get into this portal to take the test, you're probably gonna have to get in right away, because usually they only, in the association on that, they only take 30 people a month. So they only take a certain amount of people. So you're going to have to quickly once you get into the portal, you have to quickly write your name, your information, your social security number, and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to have to fill out usually where you worked or what school you went to or whatnot. Me personally, I was told just to fill out my current employer. I wasn't told to go through every year, because all they want is something, okay? At least at NEAT. That's what I was told. It might be different if you want to fill out the entire employment history and the entire school history. Be my guest. Like I said, I don't know how it is for registering for different test assessments through different associations, but me personally, that's what I was told. So I wanted to be first picked. Like I said, they only take 30 applicants. So I was able to get through on the first Monday of the month and get signed up for the assessment. They emailed me the location and what I need to do to take the assessment. Could be different. They could call you depending on your union. All right. Now, don't get all bent out of shape thinking that it's going to be some pain in the butt process. It's probably very easy, but you just first have to read the directions and follow them to a T to at least get to the assessment. Now, once you get your information, they'll give you a date and time, and you'll show up. All right. Show up early. Show up prepared. My suggestion is practice and practice and practice and study. Me personally, this assessment test was a lot harder than I thought. And a lot harder than I kind of was told. I guess you could say told it was going to be, either through YouTube or through acquaintances or people I know that are even in the lineman trade. All right, mind you, they've probably taken this assessment test years ago. So I'm 38 right now. I've been out of high school for 20 years. The math portion that I was led to believe was mostly just basic algebra or algebra 1, and that you were going to mostly just solve equations. All right, no biggie. It was a lot more complicated than that. I would say it was like college level, to me, college level algebra 2. Okay. That being said, I'm sure the assessment test is updated every couple years to stay with, the curriculum of what the newer generation is learning. My son now is 9, and the math that he's doing in school at 9 years old is far more advanced than the math I was doing at school at 9 years. It's in school at 9 years old. But anyway, let's try to get back to where I was. So, if you're older, you're probably going to have to get yourself a tutor, or you're going to have to actually pay for the math courses. Now, I took tons of the free pre-test assessment courses, okay, that you can find anywhere online by Googling. And none of them were as hard as what was actually on the assessment. Okay? So, if you're older, you're going to basically have to go back to school in a sense. If you're younger, that's probably when you should take this test. If you're younger right now, if you're 18 and you got your CDL learner's permit, or you're 19 or 20, this stuff is going to be a lot more fresh. It's probably going to be on the same level that you learned in school. And you're probably going to be able to pass this test, all right? Me, personally, I barely passed the math portion. And I would say the only reason I passed the math portion is because the barrier was set pretty low in the union, I guess, I applied for. From what I was told, they usually want a 5 and above. I guess there's some kind of average that they have for the assessment. I've heard 4, I've heard 5, at least till 9. So mine was 3 to 9. I at least passed by a 3 when they tallied the test. I was at least able to pass the math portion. The portion that I actually failed, which I feel kind of dumb that I failed, but I already know why, was the reading and comprehension portion. That being said, like I said, do not underestimate the reading comprehension portion. All right, there's another, I think there was 38 questions. And if you can read, we'll say 5 to 8 paragraphs and comprehend and everything in less than 2 minutes, you probably will pass the reading comprehension. Me, I think when I ran out of time, I think they gave you a 50-minute window. I ran out of time somewhere around, I think, question 20, 22 or something like that. So after there, when time started running out and I got down to like less than 5 minutes or 3 minutes or whatnot, I just literally end up having to pick, A, B, or C. I didn't have the time to read the text for that paragraph, that particular story or whatnot that was on there, and I just had to pick. And the instructor even showed me, the instructor in the middle of the test even showed me kind of where I was, by what, at least the number at the question where I was bombed the test. All right. So don't underestimate the reading comprehension portion. You're going to have to probably step up your reading abilities. If you're a fast reader, then you're good. If you're a slow reader, I wouldn't say I was super slow, but like I said, sometime around question 22 or whatnot, I was running out of 50 minutes for time. So, hey, am I going to take the test over again? I probably am. I'll be happy if I just barely passed, because me personally, I think what's going to put me higher up on the list is my interview, just due to the fact of the experience I had working around linemen. I used to set poles. I used to stake poles. I used to go out in a storm with them. I even went through a few safety courses with them. I actually sat in an apprentice program through, it was through Pico, and learned some of the stuff. I know what a lightning arrestor is. I know what an insulator is. I know what they do. I pretty much know how a transformer works. I've watched them perform transformer change out. I've watched them change out poles, live poles. I've watched them isolate, sections of wire. I pretty much got the gist of being a lineman, all right, and have been around it for at least a good 6 years, 6+ years. That's where I think I'll be strongest at, is on the interview. But the problem is you have to pass the assessment test, all right? Like I said, it might be harder. You might have a higher barrier. I pretty much had a lower barrier, and I still failed. And I probably would have failed the math portion if I just didn't use the 50-50 method or the A, B, or C, or just randomly picked, because there were a lot of questions that I just didn't know the answer to. Like I said, it was a lot harder than just solving basic algebraic equations. You had to formulate some of the questions. You had to formulate your own equation. Excuse me, and you had to plot it either in your head or on a piece of paper. You just get a blank piece of paper, and you had to plot the X and Y axis. Okay, so it was much more stressful to me than I thought it was going to be. I would highly suggest, if you're not good at advanced algebra, and I mean advanced algebra, I would get yourself a tutor, pay for the extra prep courses, all right, and basically go back to school practically, because you're not going, if you think you can just get away at passing the math portion of this test just by knowing the basic steps to figure out a algebraic equation, you're not going to pass this test. I mean, what you'll do is you'll end up passing the first couple questions, because I gotta admit, the first 5 questions out of 38 were pretty easy for me. All right. From there on, it just got harder and harder and harder. All right. If I would have passed the reading comprehension, if I knew it was going to be that complicated, I probably would have, practiced on my reading comprehension a little more. All right. And what I mean by that is they simply were not asking you questions that were in the text. You had to almost come to your own conclusion and pick an answer that was closely related to the topic that was talked about in the text or what you were reading. So it was a little more difficult than I thought it was going to be. It wasn't simply like I'm trying to think of one of the stories that were in there. Like one of the stories was about Isaac Newton, I think, and the see, like I said, I can't even comprehend it right now. It asked you about like Isaac Newton's first law and the laws of relativity, and it was basically asking you to come to your own conclusion for an answer. All right, that's the best way I could describe it. Certain questions were easy. They were actually in the text, but other answers to the questions were a little more difficult. They had like a 50-50 shot of being an A, B, or C answer. They were closely related with each other. They even had one of the stories or writings, I should say, was about a research paper of sociology. Right? The problem is it's a time test, and you're going to read the 6 to 8 paragraphs over and over and follow through them to try to get the answer, and you're going to waste too much time. That's basically what ended up happening with the reading comprehension. I ended up wasting too much time, and by the end of the test, I had to simply just literally point and click. I had to do this. All right. So that's why I did not pass the reading comprehension. I just took way too long to read, essentially. Like I said, you have about 38 questions and 50 minutes. So that gives you about a minute and a half, 2 minutes technically on each question. Not even that. So you have to be pretty quick. But anyway, I have a headache. I'm kind of hot. The sun's been beating on me and the car's off. So I'm going to pretty much cut it here. If you have any questions, comments, go ahead and leave them down there in the bottom in the comment section. I'll try to get back to you and answer them. Right now, I'm basically pretty defeated. Then again, I kind of knew this was going to happen. Like I said, I've been out of high school for 20 years, and it's kind of hard to study when you have 2 kids. You're working, 12, 15-hour days, and you're getting home tired, and you're sitting down, and, you're going through YouTube, and you're watching, algebraic equations, and you're writing them down on paper and practicing. But to be honest, like I said, it was a lot harder than what I was led to believe, whether that's through YouTube or for acquaintances that I know that have taken the assessment test prior. All right. So study. If you're older, definitely study. Basically, put yourself back through school. If you're younger, brush yourself up on what you learned, and you'll probably pass. Is it the end of the world? Can you retake it? Yeah, but me personally, I'm older. I have to work. I have to take time off. I'm, pretty much throwing days out the window. When you're younger, this is a little more, this isn't as inconvenient when you're younger. When you're older, it's a little more inconvenient. But hey, it's an opportunity. And as much as I'd like to say it's blue collar, blue collar work, I would say getting in is a little more than just blue collar mathematics. Okay, just a hair bit. But hey, it's a lot of people want to make that $50, $60, $70 an hour, especially on the West Coast. You're making double time. All right, you're making $130, $140 an hour plus your benefits. It is what it is. So till next time, it's Jackknife TV. Good luck. Hope you pass, and see you later.